Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. I am on round 2 of seed starting. I used all the seed starting mix I bought, so I am trying something different today. We are still in the dead of winter. Well, it certainly feels like it. It's 34, 38 degrees for a high today, so sourcing this stuff in the Midwest in the dead of winter, it's kind of hard. But I did it anyway. Now, I saw this on Hey Wanderers. I was watching their channel. They were starting seeds. I'm not exactly sure where they are, but they got this recipe from Florid. I'm sorry about the wind. Florid Flowers Farm. And I sourced most of the mix or ingredients per se from Ace, and that's where Hey Wanderers got theirs from. The one I couldn't get, which was ship to store, the shipping was just impossible, and they didn't offer ship to store on this particular item. So this is where I got it from, Greenhouse Mega Store. And with the shipping and the price of this was less than Ace with their shipping. Even the price of the item itself was less than Ace. So this is what I got from them. And then from Ace, I got, this is the one Hey Wanderers used. The one that Floret Flower Garden used, it was more expensive than this, and where it shipped from was not feasible for me with the shipping. So this was actually shipped to store, which I was kind of surprised by, since they wouldn't ship this shipped to store. Even though they had it, they wouldn't ship it to store for free. And with the shipping, I could have bought another one with that price. So this was free to ship to store, and I just went and picked it up. And then they had these, so I just picked it up there, which was pretty much the same price as Home Depot. And then the kelp, I actually had to source on Amazon. This is just a little bit of bone meal I had left from last year that I'm going to use up as well. So if you want the recipe, it's Floret's Flower Farm. And just look up like their gardening mix, and the video comes up, and she sends you a link with all the instructions or all the ratios to put in this. And I'm gonna make up half a batch because it's cold out here. I'm actually in the greenhouse, if you can call it that. Nothing very green out here, but I don't have I mean, I have a wheelbarrow, but I could do it in that. But I don't think I'm gonna need all this for my second round of seeds. The rest is actually gonna go and amend my garden. So we're gonna see what happens with that. So I'm gonna get up I'm gonna cut this in half, and we're gonna do half the batch. So that's what I'm gonna get up to today. And I just saw, I don't know if you can see this. This is how warm it is inside the garden, inside the greenhouse, I mean, as opposed to outside the greenhouse. There's some green grass growing there. And look at that. That looks like onions. Wow. Yeah. Looks like my onions are coming back. I guess I didn't pull them all. Either onions or garlic, one or the other. I think that's probably onions. But because I think I planted onions along there. But I guess there is something green in the greenhouse after all. So I'm gonna get this mixing and see how this comes together for my second round of seed starting. So I didn't want to, but I had to switch over to my wheelbarrow. That's the Pro Mix in there so far. And here are the other amendments to put into the Pro Mix. So I'm gonna just put those in. Just gonna dump those right on in here. Get it all mixed in. And then once I do that, anything that can't fit in my container that I'm going to take inside to do this, I will just store in the greenhouse. Okay, so I've got it pretty much thoroughly mixed, and this is not the full recipe. I was actually going to make half the recipe, and even that I had to break down even further. So it's actually a quarter of the recipe. And I don't know if you can tell. Maybe you can't. Yeah, it's starting to snow again. I need to get inside. So yeah, it's not wet at all. I'm gonna wet it down when I get inside. I'm gonna go into my basement where it's a little bit warmer than out here. Not by much, but a little bit warmer. So I will get this inside, wet down, and start my second round of seeds. So I am using lukewarm tap water to let it down. I find that absorbs a little better than just straight cold water. So that's what I'm doing. So I don't know about you, but I wanted to make sure I had all my fertilizer needs for this year coming season. And I actually had to order some online because we're still freezing here. And it's about 3 days later and it's a beautiful day out. So I'm going to get started some more on my garden for the year. It's definitely not time to bring them out yet, but I'm going to get started. So the forecast is going to be nice for the next few days and it's also going to rain. So I've decided to bring everything out of the greenhouse and give them a good a rain soak. But as you can see, they are starting to bud out. This is my Granny Smith, and I don't know if you can see the rest of them. I'm going to go around to the other side and show you this goodness that is coming up. I mean, I am so happy. Well, my figs aren't that happy. Those are the figs. But the rest of the fruit trees are doing really well. That's some raspberries coming back. But can you see this? This is March 30th or 31st. But they're starting to bud out. So I'm trying to be patient and not put them outside immediately. My pears are coming back. My apples, the raspberry, everything is starting to bud out. Even the mulberry, which was a volunteer from my neighbor, is coming back. My Maya lemon might not be, but everything else, as you can see, is starting to bud out. So I'm trying to be patient and not just put them back outside. I'm trying to hold off as long as I possibly can. But everything is alive. Everything is starting to bud out. And I have to be really careful at this point in time because if I put them out too soon and these buds die off, then that can impact the actual fruit that I get later on in the season. But I'm so happy that things are actually coming back and this greenhouse little experiment for this year worked. So we are going to get these outside and giving them a good rain soak for the next couple of days. And I'm going to put them back in the greenhouse because if anything happens to them, and I think this year is going to be an important year to be growing as much food of our own that we can. So I want to try and preserve these fruit trees and get as much harvest as I can off of them this year. So we'll see. These are going to be my pride and joy this year. I'm going to take especially good care of these this year. And hopefully I get a good harvest off of them. So I'm going to get these moved out and get them a good soaking. So these are the herbs left over from last year. They didn't really overwinter that much. The tarragon did really well. The chives always do really well. And that's about it. But I'll get them replanted and we'll have some good herbs this year. The next step to getting my garden ready for the season. It's gonna rain tomorrow, so I'm moving everything out so it gets a good drenching. Everything that was in my little makeshift greenhouse is outside. Yeah, we are definitely on the stretch to getting this back up and running for the season. I'm gonna have to do a lot to these beds this year. They need a lot of amendments, but yeah, I've already gotten started with that. So I took the trees and everything out of the makeshift greenhouse because we were supposed to get rain today, and if we saw a drop of rain, that's all we saw. That was it. Yeah, but I don't know. This weather is so crazy, but I took everything out and I'm expanding the garden. Yeah, it's looking even worse than it was earlier. We extended it 6.5 feet by about 10 or 12 feet that way. So I had to get rid of this mound of grass. I've already wet down my cardboard. That's what I'm going to put down here underneath. And I was waiting to do this because I was waiting for my town to supply the spot closest to me, but they haven't, so I can't wait any longer. So I went to the main depot and got my whole back is full of compost. That's what I'm gonna put down and mix with everything else I have. So hopefully it will do good. Yeah, got a lot going on right now. But hopefully after this week I can get everything set. Hopefully the weather is finally breaking. I think it's gonna be like 34 for the next 2 nights for a low, but after that it's going to be in the 40s and steadily getting warmer. So hopefully I will be able to take this down so I don't have to put them inside any longer, and we can really get this garden going. So we barely got it all in. Well, we actually started. When we started, it started raining, and yeah, we got soaking wet getting it out of the SUV and into this area here. I still haven't leveled it all. I still haven't moved the grass. So much to still do, but at least we're one step closer to extending this garden out, and I am continuing with it today, even though it's 42 degrees of a high. Yesterday was a tease at 72, but yeah, it's kind of breezy. At least the rain stopped, so I'm gonna get a couple of things done out here before I go back inside. And yeah, one step closer to getting the garden ready for this year. And of course, a project wouldn't be complete without me hurting myself. I got a little boo-boo. Yeah, even with gloves on. So we tried to do things as inexpensively as we could. We got the free compost, and then we broke down some pallets. Here's some pieces here. Just broke down some pallet wood, and that's what we lined the sides with. We extended the sides. When we originally did it, we actually went to Home Depot and got some untreated lumber, and that's what we made it out of, which is pretty much running away now. But we got these free pallets, and I just hammered out all the nails. Took a little bit of time, a little bit of elbow grease, and yeah, but it was free, so that's what we did to extend, and as well as shore up the other parts as well. So that's how we keeping things as low as we possibly can. So over the course of about a week or so, I would be coming out in my garden for about an hour or two, just trying to get things squared away for the upcoming season. And we are obviously in the flight path of these things. I know you couldn't see the first clip. I could see it, but I could hear it, but I couldn't really see it. I am between basically 2 Amazon distribution warehouses. One to the south of me, one to the northeast of me. And literally, for the 2 hours or so every day that I was out in my garden, with no exaggeration, I would hear between 6 to 8 of these drones going over. Now, it might have been going to and from, might have been the same one, I don't know. But they were going, I would say, to and from every, I don't know how often, maybe intervals of maybe 5 to 10 minutes or so in between the first one I saw and the next one I saw going back in the opposite direction. But this is crazy. I had heard of this before. Actually, the last time I ordered on Amazon, which was about 2 weeks ago, I'll show you my Amazon haul that I got. But they asked me, because I ordered some books, they asked me if I wanted a drone delivery. I was like, no. And it really didn't click. But after seeing this, I was like, wow, this is the first time I've ever noticed it, because I don't hear it in my house. But because I was in the garden, it was quiet. My neighborhood was quiet for a change. I was hearing these things. The first one kind of startled me. I didn't realize what it was. And when I looked up, I was like, no way. And just because I was out there filming, trying to update you on my garden situation, I was able to catch some of these drones going to and from, which is bonkers. Unbelievable. Do you have these in your area? So this is my compost pile, be that as it may. Not very much, but yeah. Little rotten egg over there. But what I'm surprised about that I came out here today is, you know you're doing good if your compost pile is even growing stuff. Yeah. So, do I leave it? Do I dig it up and transplant it somewhere? What do I do? So we're still trying to get this garden together, but I did start planting stuff, probably still too early. Lettuce, spicy lettuce mix, spinach, and collards. And over there some squash and some zucchinis that will probably die in the frost tonight. But I started. So this is what I was mainly concerned about. We had a freeze warning last night and we got a freeze warning tonight. So I had already started to up pot because we were getting 7-degree weather during the day, like down around the 50s. But I should have known better because this weather is so unpredictable. But yeah, I started up potting my fruit trees. I'm either going to do 15 gallon or 20 gallon. I moved my 20 gallon. I was trying to find some, but I couldn't. A lot of the grow places around me have closed down. At least 5 in my general area that I know of. Well, when I say general area, within 30 to 45 minutes of me. That's what I call general area for these. And they have closed down. Even a friend that I know is in that industry, he goes to one maybe like an hour and a half from him. And he's about an hour from me. So he even said the ones he knew of that were closer to him had closed down. So I did have him, when he visited the one he goes to now, pick me up some more of these. These are 17, 15, and 10. Sorry about the wind. It's windy today. But I was able to get these. They didn't have the 20 squat, which is what this one is, that I've had probably about 4 years now. That's what that one is that I'm using. He didn't have that. They had the tall ones. I didn't want that. But I'm happy to get what I got. So I want to show you what my makeshift greenhouse looks like. And that's why I was so concerned about these. Because, can you see that? They are blossoming and they are showing out. Yeah, that's my crabapple there. The peaches are budding out. These are the peaches here. My 2 peaches, that's a peach. The Granny Smith apple got blossoms on it. And I did not want these to freeze. Every single thing, except for my Meyer lemon, which I'm sure I killed last year, is, you know, it's definitely a goner. Yeah, it's just the only thing. And my figs. Hopefully my figs come back. But yeah, we'll see. We will see. We will see. And it's April the 19th today. And I did, from my compost that I showed you earlier that was growing, I did pull those 2 up. And we'll see how if they last, we'll see how it goes. They're in the warmth of the greenhouse. So hopefully they'll be protected from the frost. Those zucchinis and stuff I showed you earlier, if they go, they go. In my second round of planting, I planted some more of those, so they'll be fine if they don't survive. But yeah, everything, excuse me, got a frog in my throat. Everything but the figs. The figs are doing nada. I don't know what happened to them. The 3 that I have, the other one's over there. You can see in the cloth planter, it's doing absolutely nothing. But everything else, including the blueberries over there, they're getting new stalks or whatever you call them, branches. You can see the green there. They're coming back. The figs are the only thing that hasn't come back out of everything I've gotten. Everything else, apples, pears, peaches, even some of my herbs there are coming back. That's tarragon. That's survived the winter, that overwintered. And the chives have been overwintering no problem for the last 5-6 years. I don't even do anything to them. Actually, this is the first time I brought them inside anywhere. Usually they just sit out in the elements. But yeah, this is what I'm looking at. And hopefully in the next week or so, I can put them out so I can reclaim my garden area and get that cleaned up for this season to come, because it's sitting right in my main garden and I need it gone. It needs to be out of here so I can prep this area for this year's planting. So this is what I'm looking at right now for my fruit trees. I haven't gotten my new order yet, but when I do, I will be putting them in bigger pots as well. I've reserved some of the bigger pots for that. So yep, this is what it's looking like for the 2026 gardening season.